Over 1 million people are expected to be in St. Louis next month, on Monday, August 21st, to see something that will last for about 2 minutes, 39 seconds, we're told. A total eclipse of the sun. When the sun is eclipsed by the moon passing between the sun and the earth, so that the sun's light is blocked, casting a shadow on the earth. We're told that that will begin around noon, 11:50 here in St. Louis. The maximum eclipse at around 1:18, and then ending at 2:44. Daylight rapidly turning into twilight. The temperature is supposed to drop 10 to 15 degrees, and massive streams of light streak through the sky around the silhouette of the moon. The last time this happened in our St. Louis area, we're told, was about 575 years ago. And the next time it's supposed to happen around 480 years ago. So it is some event. And people are preparing, and they will be here. But it's not a miraculous event. It's part of nature. But I do want to ask the question for us. Is it possible that the Lord of heaven and earth, the Lord who created that sun and moon and the galaxy, does he possibly want us to see something greater for us here in St. Louis with this event? We know when our Lord died at Calvary, St. Luke tells us there was also an eclipse of the sun around noon. And silently standing near the cross was the Blessed Virgin Mary, ever faithful. We know the moon does not have its own light. It only reflects the light of the sun. And for that reason, Christian authors for centuries have referred to Christ, the sun, and Mary, the moon. This year of celebrating the centennial anniversary of the apparitions at Fatima, we know on October 13th of the miracle of the sun, spinning in the sky, seeming to quickly come to earth and then back into the sky. And then after the event, our Blessed Lady appearing as Our Lady of Mt Carmel, with the Christ child in her arm, holding the scapular in her hand and offering it to the world. And as we discuss this week at our novena, those of you that have been here, we know that two of the powerful spiritual weapons which Our Lady gives us to help us fight the battle of evil are the rosary and her scapular. The scapular, that simple piece of cloth that sits on the front and the back of our shoulders. That's what scapular means, the shoulder blade. Elijah, the prophet, went to Mount Carmel, and he threw his cloak over Elisha to impart a double portion of his spirit. The church has always seen this image. As next week, July 20th, here at Carmel, they'll celebrate the solemnity of Elijah. Elijah, in offering his cloak, this is a prefiguring of Mary, clothing us, her children, just as she did on this date, as tradition tells us, July 16th, 1251, when she appeared to St. Simon Stock, who was somewhat discouraged that the Carmelite order was being oppressed. And she held out to him a scapular and said, "Receive this scapular, a special sign of my favor. He who dies clothed with this habit shall be preserved from eternal death. It's a badge of salvation, a shield, and a pledge of my protection." And John Paul was shot in 1981. He was rushed to the hospital bleeding. He told the doctors, Even though he was weak in spirit, his voice was strong. "Do not remove my scapular." And the doctors operated with it on. I do not believe that it's a coincidence that on August 21st, the moon will come between the sun and the earth. August 21st is the vigil of the Immaculate Heart of Mary in the traditional calendar, the Queenship of Mary. So while millions of people will be looking in the sky on August 21st to see something of science, I'd like us of faith to remember this date, rather thinking about what God has done for us with Mary. Mary, the daughter of God the Father, the mother of God the Son, and the temple of the Holy Spirit, as he uses her to dispense all graces. There she is, between the sun and us, in her fullness of splendor, casting her shadow, her mantle, on us on that day, the vigil of her Immaculate Heart. As we've talked about in this novena, and as she told us 100 years ago, in the end, my heart will triumph. She will crush the power of evil. And again, she is distributing for us all the gifts of the Holy Spirit, which we so desperately need. And so tonight, we turn to her as we conclude this novena. Turn then, most gracious Advocate, thine eyes of mercy towards us, and after this our exile, show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Show unto us the blessed fruit of thy womb, Jesus. O clement, O loving, O sweet Virgin Mary.